Talk Media, we would love to wish the legend himself, Mr. Dave Koken, a happy 68th birthday. Dave turned 68 on Wednesday, but in typical Vegas fashion, we're celebrating for a whole week. Until Sunday at midnight, you can celebrate with the legend himself by getting 10 days of Dave Koken's picks for only $68 by using coupon code LEGEND68 at WagerTalk.com. Happy birthday, Dave!
You know, it's not often that you get to hang out with legends. Most of them are usually dead, but not here on the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. Alive and well, that's correct. Dave Koken joining us here today, as is Ralph Michaels and Brian Leonard on this Monday. It is January the 11th, fella. Go figure. Jeez, 11 days into 2021. And in case you guys are taking note at home, some great follows, too, here on Twitter. So make sure you jot down the Twitter handles here of these gentlemen, at B. Leonard Sports, at Dave Koken, at Cal Sports LV. Always great information, smart sports investing information coming your way. If nothing else, a pretty damn good and funny dog video, too, as well. So welcome in, guys. 4 games on the board here tonight. It's a short card. We got 4 games we're going to talk about. Connecticut, DePaul is certainly one of them. Bradley, Northern Iowa. We're going to take a look at Boise State, Wyoming, Colorado at UConn. Then, of course, we'll have a gold sheet play of the day as well as some of our best bets. So let's welcome Brian Leonard back into the show here today. Brian, how was your weekend, my friend? And what do you got going on in college hoops here or at WagerTalk.com in general?
Yeah, I struggled over the weekend. I thought for sure the Steelers were going to beat the Browns yesterday, and being a Clevelander my entire life, I was pretty certain of that. And I think pretty much any Clevelander was certain the Steelers were going to win, unless you were just a bandwagoner. But yeah, it was a rough weekend for me. I do have a play up in the NBA today. Off to a pretty nice start in the NBA, and it's $9 Monday over at the site. So you can pick that up right now. I also have the total in tonight's national championship game. And like Dave Koken, I've got a play up already for hockey, which starts up on Wednesday. And I want to make sure we lock in this good number. So if you're going to be playing hockey, make sure you get Dave and I's plays in hockey for this opening week.
No better time to do it than right now. It is $9 Monday, guys. Best bets right now, both Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. Yours for $9. And Dave, it is, I know it's your birthday on Wednesday, but happy birthday week, my friend. How was your weekend, and what do you got going on at WagerTalk?
Well, I didn't have a good golf weekend. I did not do well with the Tournament of Champions, but the more mainstream stuff was good. Good NFL weekend, real good college basketball weekend. I had a 5% play on Saturday. It was close, but I got there. So the 5% success story continues. That's now, I think it's 16-2 in the last 18. I hit 80% last year on all my 5%, and I'm 100% so far this year. It's only 2 plays, but it's still 2-0. The birthday special is now up. Mm-hmm. You get 10 days of all my plays across the board. You get everything I've got for $68, which is it's a good deal. And I do have one play. It's $9 Monday. I do have one play tonight in college basketball, which is available for $9. I have a very small play on the football game, which is a free play. I said I was going to give it out free. And so if you go to my page, homepage at wagertalkwt.buzz/DC, you'll get a write-up on the Ohio State-Alabama game free of charge. Hopefully it gets there.
Awesome stuff there. And, of course, Ralph Michaels, who has been in Cleveland heaven, guys, since Friday. It was Cleveland State we talked about on Friday. They were able to pull down the win. And then, of course, the Browns. I'm not sure if you've been to bed yet, Michaels, because you've been partying all weekend. You and Brian, the both of you over there. If Ohio State wins tonight, you might as well take the month off, you two, because it's going to be a hell of a party. How was your weekend outside of that, Ralph, besides the Browns, of course?
Back and forth. I'm just going to jump into Dave's numbers because he like hems and haws over some things. So let me see, Dave. $6.80 a day. People get excited about $9 Wager Talk where they get one play for Wager Talk. So you're getting Dave the next 10 days for $6.80 a day now to play. And if he just has 5% play in there, that's normally $40. For $28, you're getting the rest of that 10-day period. And Dave, I did look up your streaks. Your 5-star streaks. You are 12-1 and 16-2. 89%. Your last 5% plays at Wager Talk. So congrats. My weekend back and forth, a 2-1 day in college hoops yesterday. I do have one play today, guys, that I really think you should buy in college hoops. It's an off-board team. So while everything says this is a 5% play, I only made it a 4% play because I don't want people to bet too much. There's an injury that it's very difficult to find out in those smaller conferences if the person's going to play or not. It would be a 5% even without knowing that injury. But again, an off-board game. So I made it a 4%, one college play, and I do have a national title play as well.
All right. Stay loaded board today, guys. Great opportunity for you to head over to WagerTalk.com. Take advantage of $9 Monday. Get all of these gentlemen's best bets today, but only today. That's why it's $9 Monday. It doesn't happen on Tuesday. So take advantage of it right now. And before we dive into Connecticut DePaul here, guys, our first game up on the board, let's take a look at yesterday's top performers like we do. And Ralph, anything stand out to you yesterday? I mean, obviously, these three gentlemen, these three games were interesting. Indiana State, Tyreek Key, but anybody, what was the one that stood out to you yesterday?
Yeah, I wish Tyreek Key would have kicked the chair on his way out of the locker room and not played because Loyola was my one loss yesterday, and he burned me. And boy, Loyola had a 5-point lead with 5 minutes to go, and Key just went off and dominated the last 10 minutes of that game to get him a win. So, scoring 31 points is nice, but when you're down against a team that you're an underdog and that performance gets you the win and the upset, that gets an extra asterisk for me.
Good stuff there. Let's take a look at some of the biggest covers yesterday, too, as well in college hoops. A couple of interesting games there. Vermont, Colgate at the top. I haven't talked about Colgate much this year. Hartford taking care of UMass Lowell at a back-to-back there. Dave, was there any one particular game yesterday over the weekend that stood out to you?
Well, the 5% play. Because I won a game where my team went 1 for 15 in regulation on threes. You're not generally not going to win those. They went 1 for 1 in the overtime though, and that helped. Mm-hmm. So and then Minnesota, Iowa yesterday. I don't often say this. That was a really easy pick for me, and it got there. They're not generally that easy to pick, but it was an obvious revenge spot. There was a gigantic outlier from the first time they met, which was the Johnson kid who had 8 for 9 3-pointers in the first meeting. In all the rest of the Minnesota games combined, he's got 3 3-pointers. So, I mean, it's a complete fluke game. And Iowa took care of business yesterday. It got a little interesting late, but I wish there was one on the card that jumped out that much every day, and it produced a good result.
Well, there were a couple of games here, and we'll put the list of the top overs and the biggest unders from yesterday. But a couple of those games from yesterday, we're going to see the second end of a back-to-back, including Bradley, Northern Iowa. We're going to talk about that game here in a couple of minutes. But how about that Nebraska-Indiana game there, Ralph? They're getting over by a ton yesterday. Not a lot of folks thought we were going to see an awful lot of points there.
Yeah, especially for an Indiana team that, is close to 300 in terms of tempo. So, it was a game that Nebraska just kept pushing the tempo. And you look at Nebraska's numbers, Nebraska right now is top 15 as far as shooting the ball on offense in terms of time of possession. So, Fred Hoiberg doesn't have them holding the ball. He gets down there, they make one pass, they shoot the ball, and it's a game where, was close enough where they kept pressing that pace.
Yep, absolutely. And a small card here today, guys, but we'll start right off Let's go to it. Let's go to UConn taking on DePaul here, a matchup of waiting to see exactly where this line is going to go. It's kind of been fluctuating back and forth here. It opened up at 5. I saw 5.5, back to 5. The total coming down a little bit, opened up at 141. I'm seeing 140. And I'll start with you, Brian. You talk to us. DePaul started off the year, COVID issues all up and down, started a little bit late, but there's a lot of people very high on this UConn team here this year, doing a great job on a great streak. How do you see UConn? Third game on the road, by the way, heading to DePaul.
Yeah, I kicking myself. I had it written down for UConn against Butler in the first game just over the weekend on Saturday, and I forgot to play it. I hate it when that happens. And I do want to point out something. Rolf had mentioned his play tonight. It's not an off-board game; it's an added board game. If it was off the board, nobody could bet it.
Thanks for semantics, Brian. Appreciate that.
In case people don't get off-board games with their bookie. So he's got a nice play going for tonight. Yeah, but this Connecticut team is a team on the rise. I really like the way this team is playing. Huge offensive rebounding team. They're second in the country in offensive rebounding. Adjusted efficiency offense, 14th. It's a team playing really good ball right now, and basically they're staying underneath the national radar. They lost that game to Creighton earlier. That's their only loss on the season. Lose that game 76-74. That was a game in which Creighton shot very well from 3, and they struggled from 3. That was their worst shooting game of the season for 3. But they're going up against this DePaul team, and as you mentioned, this is a team just coming back. They've only played the 4 games. Important game, if you're looking at it from a scheduling standpoint, DePaul is now 0-3 in conference. So this is definitely a must-win game for them. I just don't think they're good enough to get this victory here. You take a look at what they do on the season. Turnover percent, 287th offensively. Free throw rate, 337th. This is a team who doesn't get to the foul line, and they turn the ball over. Not a good pairing when you're going up against this Connecticut team, which I think is a little bit underrated at this point. Although the spot says DePaul with that 0-3 record in conference, 1-3 on the season, I like Connecticut here. I missed out on them, like I said, on Saturday. I won't miss out on them again today. I like the Connecticut Huskies here.
Dave, it does look like Boog Knight is out with that elbow injury. Does that change anything for you?
I don't know if he's out or not. I'm seeing game time decision. So it's an impressive win for UConn at Butler without Boog Knight, who's clearly their best player, and is just a phenomenal defender. He's one of the best defensive players in the country. Wish I knew what his status was. I agree in that Brian mentioned it. It's not a bad spot for DePaul. I agree with that. They're coming off, Huskies coming off 2 road wins against Marquette and Butler, and they got Villanova on deck in a big game. So, if there's a little bit of a flat spot, this is a team they've already beaten too. Bear that in mind. So, these are spots that are worrisome to me. They absolutely hammered DePaul in the first game. It was just no contest. They were up 26, won by 21. And then they get 2 more wins over good, well, I won't say good opponents, but Marquette certainly is, and Butler isn't bad, at least at home. So, it's kind of a dead spot for them. But I just can't bet DePaul. Every year, this has gone on for 4 or 5 years now. Hear the same thing before every season. Well, this is the year DePaul might start to make some progress. And then you never do. Okay, it's a shitty program. It just is. They need to get another coach who can recruit the Chicago area. There's no excuse for them not to be getting better players in Chicago in the Big East. Okay, maybe they're not going to recruit at Illinois' level to the Big Ten, but they should still be getting better players than they do. And one thing you can count on DePaul, basically from year to year, is they're going to be a bad defensive team. It probably plays too fast for their own good. I can't play them even in a good spot, so it's a no play for me, and that's it.
Ralph, I got to ask you, man, it's amazing how much being a great rebounding team covers some of the terrible shooting for the Huskies. 50% effective field goal percentage this year. Not like they're shooting lights out, but a lot of those rebounds, that'll mask a lot of that deficiency.
Yeah, Dave, I'm going to add one more note to your DePaul. Remember, we had the playoff campus. It was a pain in the ass. We didn't get fan support. So when they had their new stadium, last year or the year before, they built a brand new stadium. So I guess that wasn't hold on. I don't want Brian yelling at me. It's an arena. It's not a stadium. So sorry about that, Brian. I corrected myself. So,
Dick.
Dan Hurley said the Butler win without Book Night was, he said, one of the best games they've ever played. So, Book Night started every game averaging 20 points. He wasn't there for the Butler game. They still win by 12. They shoot 43%. They actually gave up 47%. DePaul does force some turnovers. And I am a little leery back in UConn. I don't have the guts to bet DePaul, but it's certainly a game I'm going to stay away with. Book Night has a hyperextended elbow. And, if you're Dan Hurley, you already beat Butler. You have DePaul today, and you have Villanova at home on Friday. I mean, if Book Night's 90%, do you even play them? I mean, I say let's get the win. Don't worry about margin. Let's have them completely healthy for Villanova. So I don't play them tonight. So, that makes me think this is the third straight road game. And I'd be leery to play UConn for that reason.
All right, Ralph, I'm going to stay with you then. Talk to me your thoughts on this Bradley Northern Iowa game here. We called you yesterday. Of course, Northern Iowa had a good second half, was able to pull away. The number hanging around there pretty steady also. Actually, it flipped. I'm sorry. Opened up 2.5. I'm seeing now 1.5 towards Bradley here. Are you at the point in the season, Ralph, where these second ends of these backs-to-backs, have you noticed anything? Does it apply to this game at all?
Well, I can tell you this, that yesterday I played 2 games where teams lost as the favorite the night before. You were laying less yesterday, and both won and covered. So absolutely, I'm keeping my eye on that. For the mainline teams, it's just a couple games over 50%. So it's not a wow percentage, but clearly, I am like Dave, and I am looking for outliers from one game to the next if a team is shooting that. And I'm going to bring this up here. You look at yesterday's game, UNI was minus 2.5, and they won 78-72. Well, they shot 51%. That was their second best percentage on the year. Bradley shot 41%. It was their third worst percentage on the year. You have a UNI team that's 2-7 against the spread. Remember, this is that same UNI team that was planning to have AJ Greenback, the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. He's been out since the Richmond game and out for the year since December. And yesterday was Bradley's first game in 19 days. So they had one of those COVID layoffs. You add that all together. I mean, I'm looking for the bounce back today, and I think the Braves can pull this one out.
Dave, you agree? Looking back for the bounce back in this game?
Well, Ralph brought up some points that I think are valid. Bradley was coming off a long layoff. It appeared to affect them more on defense than offense. This is a very good defensive team, especially in terms of preventing points inside. And they had a bad game yesterday from that standpoint. So I would think that'd be corrected. There's a couple of things that are a little worrisome. Boya, he's off the bench, but he's a really big guy, and he has been valuable for them defensively. He's out, and they might be out one other guy. I think it's Hogan, who missed yesterday's game, and I'm assuming he's probably not playing again. Not Hogan, Kingsby. Yeah, I think this is one of those zigzags where I think Bradley has a good chance to get back into the win column. They're the better team, okay? I mean, you might not have said that had Green been in the lineup for Northern Iowa, but They lost him, and it's just been a tough year for that team. They're fundamentally sound, so they're going to win some games, but they just don't have a lot of talent. I think Bradley's the better club, and yesterday's game was close all the way. I think this one probably will be as well, but I'd give Bradley the edge.
Bride opens up at 139 as a total. I'm seeing 136.5 at a couple of places as well here. That second game, right at about college kids, that's not what they do. How are you approaching this game?
Yeah, from a total standpoint, second time you play a team in a row there, you tend to know what they're trying to do. You know their moves. So that's usually something that you'll see happen as the game is bet down a little bit. Third row game in a row here for Bradley, although, as was mentioned, doesn't have a change of scenery today as they're playing back-to-back at Northern Iowa. Bart Torvik does a game score, and he basically had this game being, when you analyze everything out, the luck factor, it's basically a pick 'em. So basically last night, even though Northern Iowa wins that game, it's a situation where the game played out as if it could have gone either way. It was a coin flip game. David mentioned the bounce back situation here. I think that's something to take a look at for Bradley. Bradley's not a team that gets to the free throw line. That is a concern. From a free throw ranking, it shoots 72%. They look pretty good there. But Northern Iowa had a really nice shooting night, especially from a 3-point last night, 10 of 22. That's the reason they won that game. But I think it's a situation here where if you look at this game, neither team gets to the foul line very often. So I think the game will be decided when the game is live on the court there as opposed to shooting free throws. But I think Bradley's probably the right side here. Nice bounce back here from a game they could have easily won yesterday.
All right, good stuff. Just a reminder here, guys, as well, WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com. It is $9 Monday. If you head over right now, you get Brian Leonard, you get Dave Koken, you get Ralph Michaels, you get their best bets that are up right now for $9 today. Certainly take advantage of it. And if one day is not enough, take 30 days. All access, $199. Every college and every NBA play from these gentlemen, all yours for $199. And Dave, I'm going to turn to you here for Oregon, Colorado. This Colorado team, we talked about them last week. Taking down Oregon, great game in Colorado. Looking to take on a Utah team that has disappointed some, but it's the McKinley Wright show. They're laying 3, opens up at 136. Where do you land on this Colorado team right now?
Well, this is a really big game for Utah. They're 1-3 in the conference now. They had a win against Washington to start the season, and since then, lose UCLA, lose USC, and lose Oregon. They need to win big time, or they're going to be falling out of contention in the Pac-12 pretty quickly. And I think the spot does favor the Utes here. Oregon's coming off a great win for them against not Oregon, Colorado. Colorado's coming off a great win for them against Oregon. I know they always beat Oregon on that court, but it's still a really good win. Lost a tough game at UCLA, beat USC, and not to take anything away from what the Buffs are doing, but USC was absolutely horrible in that game. I thought they lacked effort and just played a really poor game. Lost to Arizona. I still think Colorado's a little overrated. Okay, Ken Palm has them as number 20th ranked team. And I know there's no bias involved there. That's all data. But I don't think they're the 20th best team. I don't know if they're the 30th best team. I think they're really dependent on McKinley Wright. And one thing I will say is, if they get to the free throw line, don't send them to the foul line. Let's put it that way. This is the best foul shooting team in the country. I mean, it's just amazing. What is it? 86% for the season as a team on foul shots. It's absolutely incredible. And that's a little bit of a worry here, because if Utah gets aggressive defensively and commits a lot of fouls, they give up a lot of points in the game. But it's a scheduling spot for me, and I think the scheduling spot in the situation does favor Utah. Close game. I'll give Utah plus the points the edge.
Like that. Brian, what do you think? Maybe a little overvalued here with Colorado as they head on the road to Utah?
I see Bart Torvik has Colorado 17-2, so they're all pretty much in the same range here for Colorado. Dave mentioned the free throw shooting, #1 in the nation. The problem I have with that is there's nowhere to go but down when you're #1 in the nation, especially when you're shooting 86% from the foul line. I can guarantee you there's not going to be a team at the end of the season shooting 86% from the foul line. So they have shot pretty well from 3 and 2. So they do have pretty good athletes on this team. But anytime that happens, you have to realize that there's going to be some regression involved here. Coming off that game against Oregon, that was a game that they pulled away late, got that victory against Oregon. You know, Utah is much better when the record is. They pointed it out. They're 1-3 in conference, 4-4 overall. The spot is probably better here for Utah. Utah's a team that probably needs it more, although Colorado's only 2-2. As good as they've been, they're only 2-2 in conference right now, so the game means a lot to them. The line is basically where I thought it would be at this point, so I don't think I have enough on it. I'd like to fade Colorado a little bit, but I don't think the numbers out there in which I think there's value, so I'm going to be passing on this one.
This is one of those situations there, Ralph. Are you going to go with the home dog in this one? Is there enough value there for you?
Well, I'm actually going to disagree with Dave and Brian. I think the schedule is clearly in the advantage of Colorado. You know, granted, Colorado wasn't supposed to play this game. This is another game that just got scheduled 36 hours ago. But Colorado's off that Oregon win on Thursday. Utah played Oregon on Saturday. That's 2 extra days rest. And one thing I want to point out now, because they fit this game in, these two teams were supposed to play the last game of the season. Oregon also plays Stanford on Thursday and also plays Cal on Saturday. So they're going to play 3 games in 5 days, 4 games in 8 days. So not only keep your eye on this game, perhaps look to fade Utah against Stanford, a very tough scheduling spot moving forward. You know, I think that, you know, you want to use the transitive properties, which we know doesn't work in handicapping, but Colorado beat Oregon at home as a 4.5-point favorite. Utah lost by 6 as a 2.5-point dog. Best player on the court is McKinley Wright, no question. 21 points and 10 turnovers over Oregon. You know, I'm not going to get to the window with it, but I have a definite lean with Colorado. And trust me, I have Utah's games circled on both Thursday and Saturday. It's too bad they're playing Cal, you know, the worst team in the Pac-12, maybe with the exception of Washington on Saturday. But both of those games, I'll look at this game and look to fade them moving forward.
All right, one more game we're going to take a look at here in the Mountain West. It'll be Boise State, Wyoming. Also have a gold sheet play today coming your way as well as the best bets. But this Boise State team, Brian, I'll start with you. Pretty impressive. What, a 10-game winning streak now? All they do is score. And now they're getting ready to take on a Wyoming team here who, I don't know. It's a big number. It's coming down, too. It opened up 8.5. I'm seeing 7.5 right now. So is the total coming down. How do you have these two teams right now?
Yeah, the line's a little bit too high to keep me away from it. The only way I could look in this one would be Wyoming. Yeah, you mentioned 10 straight wins for Boise State. It is a step-up game for Wyoming. They haven't played a top 100 team yet, and Boise's already played Houston. 10-point loss on the road. Not that unimpressive, even though they lost by 10. Houston's been one of those teams that's been a real moneymaker. They've done very well this year. Then they beat BYU on the road, which is always impressive. They win that game 74-70. So Boise has proven that they could play against high-quality opposition. We haven't seen that out of Wyoming yet. Wyoming's a team right now 1-1 in conference. They split out on the road at Fresno State, losing the last game they played on last Monday, a week ago, 81-61. Did not have a good game that week. In fact, that was their worst defensive performance of the season when you look at points per possession. So Wyoming, the game is more important to Wyoming here, but I'm just concerned that they have not played a team of this caliber yet. Boise State's one of those teams that a good free throw shooting team, 75.5%. Comes down to fouls is the team you want to bet on. But the line's a little bit too high. I thought the line should have been roughly 6. We're looking at the 8 range. So it's going to keep me off of this contest.
Dave, is it too big a number in your opinion at this point?
It's too big for me to play. I'm not going to lay that many points on the road. But I will say a couple of things here. Boise's impressive. I'm not saying impressive that they're going to get to the NCAA tournament and beat teams. That's not going to happen. But they're Leon Rice said before the season that was the most athletic team he's ever had at Boise, and he looks to be right on that count. They're good. Wyoming, I think everybody who follows Mountain West basketball was a believer that they made a great hire in Jeff Linder, who had done terrific work at Northern Colorado and was just a massive upgrade from Alan Edwards. And that's worked out so far. Wyoming's playing with a lot more energy than they did last year. They're still a flawed team. They're really bad defensively, especially in the paint. And that's something I think Boise's going to try and exploit. But, you know, I want to see how this game plays out. If Boise settles for a lot of outside shots and they can get a little bit trigger happy with the threes at times, I think that would be a mistake on their part. I want to see them pound the ball inside and take advantage of what I think the Wyoming liabilities are. So this could be a lesson because these teams meet again on Wednesday. And it's a game I'm going to watch, probably not live because I want to watch the football game. But I'll try and figure out a way to see this. If it's on regular TV, I'll be able to tape it. If it's just on the internet, then I won't. But I want to see this game and try and get an idea of what might happen in the rematch on Wednesday. I think that might be the more playable spot as opposed to tonight.
Ralph, which defense do you trust more in this matchup over here? We know Wyoming can score, Boise State can score. Who do you like defensively?
Well, you know, you look at Boise's numbers. I mean, Boise obviously, as Dave said, Wyoming's interior defense is not good. They're not big. I mean, your front court is, I think, 6'5", 6'7", 6'10". Mm. But you look at Boise, and I'm so shocked. I actually have Boise power rated at 10, which gives me a 2-point advantage here. But I'm not going to play it. Number one, again, you're on the road laying this many. And then you look at their last 3 games. They let San Jose shoot 51%. San Jose State is not a good offense. Game number 1 against Air Force, they allowed the Falcons 47%. Game number 2 against the Falcons, they allowed 53.3%. So that current form, I'll tell you what, that's why they're 0-2-1 ATS their last 3 games, because they've allowed that type of defense. Now, they're going to be a much better team moving forward. Marcus Shaver, their best player, or their point guard, he was a Portland transfer. He was all West Coast Conference. He sat out last year. He started the first 3 games this year, was out for 4 games, just came back. They've been working up his minutes, and he finally started Air Force game number 2. So look for an improvement from Boise. But on the flip side, they are also likely tonight without Emmanuel Alcott. Emmanuel Acott. He started the first 7 games, got hurt against Air Force game number 2. He's questionable today. So they still may have the same team. But this is a Boise team circle. I see reasons with those guys that were started that in 2 or 3 games when they're back together and playing together, I think they're going to be just there. FYI, Boise, 5 straight overs. Wyoming, 6-2 over-under, 6 overs and 2 unders their last 8 games. So keep an eye on that total.
Yep, it'll be very interesting. They're opened up at 150. It's come back a little bit, but not much there. So I'm with Dave. It's going to be a fun game to watch and then see what happens in a couple of days from now. We also have our friends at the Gold Sheet have given us, like they always do each and every show here, a play of the day. And we'll throw that up there. And, of course, a reminder, Ralph, you will post this full report here on your Twitter page. But they like UConn in this matchup, Ralph.
They do. Again, a light card today. They only had a couple plays posted today. I picked out the UConn game. So UConn is the Gold Sheet play of the day. And as you said, Joe, at Cal Sports LV, I will post that right up so you can read it in its entirety on Twitter.
All right. It is time for our best bet section here, guys. We'll go around the horn. We'll start with Brian Leonard here. And just a reminder, guys, right now, $9 Monday. Take advantage. Brian Leonard, Dave Koken, Ralph Michaels. Grab their best plays right now WagerTalk.com for just $9. And Brian, you looked at this card, like Ralph said, small card here tonight, but what game did you circle first?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Connecticut, the Gold Sheet liked them. I like them. I think on the small card, that's your best bet in this show. What really gets me here is the offensive rebounding percentages. Connecticut is second in the country in offensive rebounding percentages, and DePaul allows 34.9, which is 324%. So you got one team that has a major edge on the offensive rebounds against a team in DePaul that's still finding their footing, coming back from COVID. I'll lay the points here with Connecticut as my best bet.
The points there. All right, Dave, which way you going, my friend?
I did play one game tonight. We actually talked about that game, and you can probably figure out who it is if you go back in time and listen to the analysis. The game I'm using for the best bet of the show is one of the games we talked about that I'm not playing. So you can eliminate that one. But I did use Utah as the best bet here on the show.
There we go. And Ralph, where are you leaning here tonight on this card?
Sorry to disappoint, guys. There were no teams in the 300 category that I can use today. So I am on team number 291, Florida A&M. Gotta love the Rattlers out of Tennessee. They're playing South Carolina State. They played them yesterday. Florida A&M, the much better team. South Carolina State 0-10. Florida A&M led that game 69-56. They got outscored 12-1 down the stretch. Obviously failed to cover as a almost a 2-touchdown favorite. They turned the ball over 21 times. Robert McCullum, their head coach, was furious. Yeah, that's the same Robert McCullum that was at Western Michigan and USF. While Florida A&M is 291, they are the much superior team against South Carolina State. They break their number at home, and this time they do not let up late and let South Carolina State make that big run to cover.
All right, very good. I'm going to be leaning the over in Colorado, Utah. Colorado at this point, 72 points in 9 of their 11 games. And while they play a little slower there, Utah, they have in 4, I believe 3 out of their 4 Pac-12 games have had at least 138 points or more scored in their games. Opened up at 136.5. I'm seeing 138s out there now, but I'm going to lean to a little bit more scoring, especially at the end of the game when the free throw shooting comes into play for Colorado. Best bet recaps here. Let's take a look. Ralph Michaels, he's going with, what is that team number, 7,100? Oh, no, that's right. You said you couldn't play them. Florida A&M laying to 13.5. Brian Leonard going with UConn. Dave likes Utah, 2.5. I'm going to go with the over there at 138 for the Colorado-Utah game. The Gold Sheet likes UConn as well. You guys should definitely head over, take advantage of $9 Monday right now at Wager Talk. Go get Brian's page, go get his best bets, Dave's and Ralph right now. $9 at WagerTalk.com. Ralph.
You know, Joe, if you keep that shit up with my game numbers, I'm just going to call you Brian Leonard from here on out. Sorry, I won't do that. I won't do that. I apologize.
Your ass is singing birthday tomorrow, whether you like it or you don't, Ralph. So you might as well just tune in for that because you are definitely singing tomorrow. Dave Koken also birthday special available. Get 10 days of his plays, guys. 10 days. All his plays. And we're talking about golf. We're talking about hockey start. We're talking about college hoops, the rest of the NFL. You can get it for 10 days right now for $68. You can't go wrong. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Use the code LEGEND68 and get it done. Brian Leonard, thanks for the time, my friend. We'll see you again. Dave, Ralph, as always, a pleasure, guys. Best of luck. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, guys. Come back and join us again tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. Good luck with your plays tonight in college hoops. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk tomorrow.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.